Have you ever wondered what message we left behind for aliens just in case they ever found us? That's right. Somewhere far beyond our solar system, drifting endlessly in the dark, are two golden records carrying the story of Earth and maybe something hidden within them. Subscribe now, because what you're about to hear is one of the strangest, most beautiful mysteries of space. So, let's slow down, lean back, and take this journey together. Tonight, we'll explore the secrets of the Voyager spacecraft, the golden records it carries, and the chilling idea that maybe, just maybe, they were never only meant for aliens. Let's set the stage. It's the late 1972nd. Humanity has just taken its first small steps on the moon. Technology is advancing, but compared to today, computers are still bulky, slow, and limited. Yet, NASA dreams big. They launched two spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. With a mission so daring, it feels almost poetic. To fly past the outer planets and then drift into the endless unknown. But here's the twist. They don't just send machines, they send a message. A message etched into gold, designed to last for billions of years. Now, picture this. Two shiny golden discs, each one about the size of a vinyl record, sealed inside a protective case. On these discs is the entire story of Earth, compressed into sounds, images, and even instructions on how to play it. They included greetings in 55 languages, music from every culture, natural sounds like the wind, the ocean, and even a baby crying. They included images of mountains, rivers, animals, cities, and people. And at the center of it all, they placed a message. This is who we are. But here's where it gets mysterious. Many people believe the golden record isn't just a hopeful time capsule for aliens. Some think it's a hidden mirror, a reminder for us, for humanity itself. Because, think about it, who's more likely to find it? Aliens light years away? Or our own descendants, thousands or millions of years into the future? Could it be that we weren't sending a message outward, but leaving one for ourselves to rediscover? As Voyager carried this record into the cosmos, humanity back home was going through chaos, wars, conflicts, environmental damage, and a Cold War that threatened nuclear destruction. Yet, here was this tiny record whispering into the void. We are more than our violence. We are music, laughter, love, and wonder. Was that the hidden message? Not for aliens, but for us, telling ourselves not to forget who we truly are? Let's pause for a moment and picture it. Somewhere out there, beyond the pull of the sun, Voyager is still traveling. Right now, as you listen, it's billions of miles away, in the cold silence between stars, still carrying that golden record. It won't reach another star system for 40,000 years. By then, humanity might not even exist anymore. Our cities could be dust. Our languages could be gone. And yet, this small record will still be whispering, we were here, we mattered. And that's where the mystery deepens. Because when you listen closely to the golden record, some things don't quite add up. For example, scientists had to choose what to include. But why these particular songs and not others? Why these specific greetings and not a universal statement of peace? Why certain scientific images, but not things like maps of our cities? Some researchers believe the choices weren't random, that maybe, hidden in the selection, is a secret code, a second layer of meaning that only the most advanced beings could decode. A puzzle inside a gift. Imagine this. What if the real hidden message isn't the music or the greetings, but the patterns? The way the information is arranged, the sequence of images and sounds? Could it be that NASA left behind a cosmic breadcrumb trail, a kind of universal riddle? If so, then the golden record is not just a story of Earth, but a challenge, a test for whoever finds it. If you can decode it, then maybe you're ready to meet us. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some thinkers suggest the record isn't just for extraterrestrials or future humans. What if it was never meant to be played at all? What if the act of making it, of gathering humanity's sounds and memories into one fragile object, was the true purpose? In other words, the golden record might not be a message for the universe. It might be a mirror for ourselves, forcing us to ask, what do we want to be remembered for? Let me ask you this. If you had the chance to include just one sound, one picture, one memory of Earth on that golden record, what would it be? Would you choose the sound of rain falling on leaves? The laughter of a child? The hum of a city at night? Or maybe the voice of someone you love? Think about it for a moment, because in the end, that's the heart of this story. The golden record isn't just NASA's creation. It belongs to all of us. Now, let's dive deeper, because the journey of Voyager didn't stop with the launch. No, that was only the beginning. And the places it traveled, the planets it revealed, the storms, the rings, the mysteries, they all add another layer to this story. And maybe, just maybe, those worlds were also part of the hidden message. Voyager's journey began quietly, almost humbly. 2 spacecraft, no bigger than a small car, were launched from Earth in 1977. Voyager 2 lifted off first, followed by Voyager 1 just a few weeks later. Their mission: to use a rare planetary alignment, something that only happens once every 176 years, to swing past the giant outer planets, stealing a little gravity from each one, and slingshot themselves deeper into space. Now, think about that for a second. These small, fragile machines were flung into the heavens using nothing but clever mathematics and a rocket's push. And somehow, the calculations were so precise that Voyager managed to fly past Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all in a single trip. It's like tossing a bottle into the ocean and hitting 4 distant islands in a row without missing a beat. The first stop was Jupiter. Picture this. The largest planet in our solar system, a stormy giant swirling with bands of color. Voyager 1 flew past in 1979, sending back images that no human had ever seen before. For centuries, Jupiter was just a dot in the night sky. But suddenly, we saw it in detail. We saw its swirling clouds, the delicate ribbons of white, orange, and brown, We saw lightning storms bigger than Earth. And then there was the great red spot. A storm so massive it could swallow our entire planet whole. And it had been raging for centuries. Voyager revealed something else too. Jupiter wasn't alone. It had moons, and not just ordinary moons, but worlds in their own right. Io, for example, turned out to be alive with volcanoes, the most volcanically active body in the solar system. Imagine that. Geysers of lava shooting dozens of miles high into the blackness of space. Then there was Europa, covered in ice, but with hints of a liquid ocean hidden beneath its frozen crust. Could that ocean hold life? Even today, scientists still wonder. Now, remember the golden record? Here's where the connection deepens. The images on that record included drawings of DNA, pictures of our bodies, diagrams of how we reproduce, and maps of Earth. Some say NASA wasn't just showing who we are, they were showing what life looks like. And when Voyager flew past Europa, it was as if the universe answered back. Here's another place where life might be. Coincidence? Or part of the hidden conversation between us and the cosmos? After Jupiter came Saturn, the jewel of the solar system. Voyager 1 reached it in 1980, and the images still look surreal even today. Those rings, delicate, shimmering bands made of ice and rock, stretched out in patterns too perfect to seem real. Voyager revealed that the rings weren't solid, but countless particles orbiting in harmony like frozen dust dancing around the planet. And the moons of Saturn, they were just as mysterious. Titan, the largest, stood out the most. Wrapped in a thick orange atmosphere, Titan was the first moon found with clouds, weather, and even rivers, though not of water, but liquid methane. Imagine standing on Titan, the sky dim and hazy, the air thick and cold, the ground shaped by alien rivers. It was like seeing a mirror of Earth, but twisted and distant. Here's the strange thought again. What if the Golden Record's hidden message was not just about us, but about finding worlds like ours? We sent a record that explained water, DNA, and life. And then, on its path, Voyager discovered moons and planets that hinted at water, oceans, and the possibility of life. Was this pure chance? Or was there something guiding us to see that we are not alone? Voyager 2 took the baton next, continuing the journey farther than any spacecraft before it. It reached Uranus in 1986, a pale blue-green world tilted so far on its side that its seasons last 21 years each. Imagine that, 21 years of sunlight, followed by 21 years of darkness. The planet looked quiet from a distance, but Voyager revealed its rings, faint and thin, circling in shadows. It also showed us Miranda, one of Uranus's moons, with a surface so fractured and bizarre it looked like a patchwork quilt stitched by the cosmos itself. Then came Neptune in 1989, the farthest giant, dark blue and mysterious. Voyager 2 captured the first close-up images of its storms, including one called the Great Dark Spot, a tempest almost as large as Earth. Even here, billions of miles away, storms raged like they did on Jupiter. And Neptune's moon Triton, revealed something incredible. Geysers erupting into space prove that even at the edge of our solar system, worlds could be alive. After Neptune, Voyager's grand tour of the planets was complete. The spacecraft had gone farther than anyone imagined, sending back wonders we never dreamed of. And yet, through it all, the golden record kept riding quietly along, waiting, patient, eternal. Now, think of the poetry in this. While Voyager was showing us the giants of our solar system, it was also carrying Earth's tiny, fragile voice into the void. We were saying, this is who we are, while at the same time discovering, this is what else is out there. That's the dual journey, outward into space and inward into ourselves. But here's the problem. The farther Voyager drifted, the weaker its signal became. The spacecraft runs on a small nuclear battery, and even now, decades later, that power is fading. Soon, its instruments will go silent one by one. Eventually, all that will remain is the golden record, drifting like a bottled message in an infinite ocean. And that raises a haunting question. Will anyone ever find it? Or will it float forever, untouched, unread, like a story no one gets to hear? Some believe it doesn't matter, that the very act of sending it, of daring to say, we existed, we mattered, was the true purpose all along. But others wonder, what if the record was meant to be discovered? What if the silence of space isn't empty at all, but waiting, listening? And that's where the story deepens. Because if there really is a hidden message inside the golden record, then perhaps it was never meant for aliens we don't know. Perhaps it was meant for someone we do know. Someone much closer. Here's a question that lingers in the silence of space. What if we shouldn't have sent the golden record at all? Think about it. We didn't just send music, greetings, and pictures. We sent directions to our home. Etched into that golden disc is a map, a cosmic return address. It shows the position of Earth using pulsars, the brightest radio beacons in the galaxy. It's like we mailed a letter into the dark and in the corner wrote down exactly where the sender lives. Some people believe this was naive. Imagine walking through a dangerous forest at night. Would you shout out your name, your home address, and leave a glowing trail of breadcrumbs for strangers? Probably not. And yet, that's what we did. Carl Sagan, the astronomer who championed the golden record, saw it differently. He believed that any civilization advanced enough to find Voyager would be far beyond violence and war. His words were filled with optimism that such beings would have long outgrown greed, conflict, and cruelty. But here's the catch. What if he was wrong? Let's pause here and picture a scenario. Somewhere, light years away, a civilization stumbles upon Voyager. They pick up the record, study the strange diagrams, listen to the voices saying hello in dozens of languages, and follow the map straight to Earth. Are they curious friends? Or are they predators who now know exactly where to hunt? It's a chilling thought. Even Stephen Hawking, one of the greatest minds of our time, warned against contacting extraterrestrials. He compared it to when Columbus first landed in the Americas. For the native people, that meeting didn't end well? What if humanity has just done the same thing, waving a flag to the universe, saying, "Here we are, come find us"? But maybe that's the problem. Only if we think about aliens the way we think about ourselves. Wars, conquests, invasions, these are human fears. We project them onto the unknown because that's all we know. For all we understand, another species might look at us with no interest in harm, only curiosity, like how we watch birds migrate across the sky. Still, the risk is real. Voyager isn't just drifting aimlessly, it's carrying a story of Earth frozen in time, our technology from 1977, our voices, our maps. If aliens discover it thousands of years from now, Earth may have changed completely. Cities could rise and fall, borders could vanish, even humanity itself could be gone. The golden record might lead them to a planet that's no longer ours. Now, here's a twist. What if the hidden message of the golden record wasn't meant for aliens at all? What if it was meant for us? A reminder that even in 1977, we were capable of something beautiful. That at a time of Cold War tension, when nations glared at each other with nuclear weapons ready, we also reached out with music, art, and greetings. Maybe the record was less about who finds it, and more about proving to ourselves that we could dream beyond war. But still, the doubt lingers. Was it foolish to be so open? Was it reckless to whisper our address into the dark? As Voyager drifts farther, it forces us to ask bigger questions. What is the right balance between curiosity and caution? Between hope and fear? Between dreaming of contact and guarding our survival? These are the kinds of challenges humanity wrestles with, and the golden record captures that tension perfectly. Let's imagine for a moment what might happen if the record is found. Picture beings unlike anything we've ever seen. Maybe they don't have eyes or ears like us. Maybe their senses are far stranger. Would they even understand our music? Could they hear Bach or Chuck Berry the way we do? Would they see the pictures on the record and know they're humans? Or would our greatest attempt at communication look like meaningless scratches, a puzzle with no key? And here's the most haunting possibility of all. What if they do understand it and they choose not to answer? The silence of the universe may not mean no one is out there. It may mean they're watching and waiting. When you hold the golden record, if you could, you're holding not just a piece of metal, but the most ambitious mixtape ever created. Except this mixtape wasn't made for a friend or a lover or even for humans. It was made for the universe. But what exactly did we put on it? First, there are the greetings. In 55 different languages, voices say hello to the stars. Some are ancient tongues, like Akkadian, a language spoken 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Others are modern English, Mandarin, Arabic, Spanish. Each one is simple, a greeting, a wish, a spark of connection. One even says, "Friends of space, how are you? Have you eaten yet?" It sounds almost funny, but also deeply human. Because what's more human than asking if someone has eaten? Then, there are the sounds of Earth. waves crashing against rocks, the hum of wind through trees, a baby's first cry, a kiss, the sound of thunder rolling across the sky. These are things we barely notice in our everyday lives, but on the record, they become sacred reminders that Earth is alive, that we are alive. And then comes the music. Oh, the music. This is where the record truly shines. It carries Bach's Brandenburg Concerto, Beethoven's symphonies, Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. But it doesn't stop with the classics. It includes traditional songs from around the world, from Navajo chants to Peruvian pan flutes, from Japanese shakuhachi flutes to Bulgarian folk harmonies, and yes, it even includes rock and roll. Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good made the cut. Imagine that. If aliens ever dance, they might dance to the same rhythm teenagers did in the 1952nd. But the choices weren't easy. Every piece had to fit on a single record. Some argued for jazz. Some wanted more contemporary music. Others thought rock and roll was too frivolous for something meant to represent all of Earth. And yet, there it is proof that music is not just math and sound, but joy and rebellion too. And here's the hidden meaning. The golden record isn't just a list of greetings, sounds, and songs. It's a message about who we are at our best. Notice what's missing. No war sounds, no weapons, no screams, no recordings of suffering. We sent a portrait of peace, an earth without blood, a humanity without violence. Was that dishonest? Or was it hopeful? That's the debate. Some critics say we lied about ourselves, painting an unreal picture. Others argue that maybe this is who we want to be, and by sending it out into the stars, maybe we reminded ourselves of what we could become. But let's step back for a moment. Imagine an alien species listening to this record. Maybe they don't even understand sound the way we do. Maybe they see music as colors. Maybe greetings sound to them like vibrations in the air, like light through water. Would they grasp the message we're sending? Or would they misinterpret it? Could Bach be mistaken for noise? Could Chuck Berry's guitar riff sound like a warning? This is where the golden record becomes a kind of riddle. Because it's not just about what we send, but how it will be understood. Communication across space is like whispering across an ocean. You never know how the words will land. And maybe that's the beauty of it. That in the vast silence of the universe, we dare to try. We dare to say, this is Earth. This is us. This is our hello. But the story doesn't stop there. Because behind these recordings, behind these choices, there's a story of human struggle, debate, and imagination. And in that story lies an even deeper hidden message, one that reveals more about us than the record itself. Imagine this. It's 1976. America has just landed men on the moon a few years earlier, but now the mood is shifting. Space exploration feels like both a triumph and a burden. The budgets are shrinking. People are asking, why spend so much money out there when there are problems here on Earth? And yet, in the middle of all this, NASA announces 2 new missions, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. twin spacecrafts that will leave Earth, swim by the outer planets, and then once their work is done, drift off into interstellar space. Carl Sagan, the astronomer with a soft voice and poetic way of speaking, looked at this plan and saw something more. He thought, if these ships are going to leave our solar system, why not give them a message? Why not let them carry Earth's calling card into the great dark? And so, the idea of the golden record was born. But here's the thing. Making a record for the universe isn't as simple as picking songs from a playlist. It was a war of ideas, a tug of war between science, culture, politics, and human ego. Carl Sagan gathered a small team. Anne Druyan, Frank Drake, Timothy Ferris, John Lomberg, and a few others. Together, they would decide what 12-inch disc would speak for all of Earth. Picture them in a cramped room, tape recorders spinning, notes scattered, coffee cups piling up. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy. Every choice felt monumental. Do they include jazz? Some argued yes, jazz was the heartbeat of the 20th century. But others said no, it was too improvisational, too messy to represent humanity. Do they include war sounds? Some argued we should be honest about who we are, even our violence. But others insisted, no. This message must be one of peace. And then came the music debate. One heated argument revolved around whether to include something as modern as rock and roll. Many thought it was too trivial. One scientist even called Chuck Berry's Johnny B. good adolescent. But Anne Druyan fought back. She said, rock and roll is part of who we are. To leave it out would be dishonest. And so, rock and roll made it. Not because it was perfect, but because it was human. But the most beautiful part of the story wasn't even in the music. It was in the love. Anne Druyan and Carl Sagan fell in love during this project. One night, Anne decided to do something bold. She went into a lab and hooked her brain up to a machine that recorded her brain waves. For 1 hour, she thought about humanity, about history, about Earth, about falling in love. She even thought about what it would feel like to carry a child, to pass on life. That recording her brain waves was placed on the golden record. That means somewhere, billions of years from now, floating between the stars, there's a record carrying the heartbeat of a woman in love. Think about that for a moment. The most human thing of all, love pressed into grooves of gold, sent into the dark, where maybe, just maybe, someone might one day understand it. The record became a mirror of humanity. Every sound, every song, every greeting chosen like a brushstroke in a painting. It wasn't perfect. Some things were left out. Some choices were arbitrary. But it was real. It was us. And here's the part that gives me chills. Once the record was pressed, once it was placed aboard the Voyagers, there was no turning back. Those discs, gold-plated copper, protected against radiation, designed to last 1 billion years, would outlive every single one of us. They would outlast nations, languages, civilizations. They would outlast Earth itself. When the sun dies and Earth burns, the Voyagers will still be drifting, carrying that fragile hello into the endless night. So, the golden record isn't just a time capsule. It's a gamble. It's us whispering into eternity. We were here. We mattered. We loved. We tried. And that whisper might never be heard. Or it might one day change everything. The 20th of August, 1977. Before the sun even fully lit the Florida horizon, the ground at Cape Canaveral trembled. Towering above the launch pad stood Voyager 2, a spacecraft no bigger than a small car, but destined for a journey larger than anything humanity had ever attempted. At 10:29 a.m., engines roared. Fire and smoke exploded into the air. Slowly at first, then faster, Voyager 2 began climbing the sky. The rumble shook the ground. The sound rattled across the ocean, and then like an arrow leaving a bow, the spacecraft was gone, piercing the atmosphere and beginning its climb into forever. Just 16 days later, Voyager 1 followed. On the 5th of September, 1977. It was like releasing 2 bottled messages into the sea of space. But these bottles carried more than paper. They carried our voices, our music, our images, our entire planet's heartbeat pressed into gold. The world watched, not knowing that these machines would become legends. As Voyager drifted farther, it began its grand tour, a rare alignment of the outer planets that happens only once every 176 years. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune lined up like stepping stones across the solar system. With slingshot maneuvers, the spacecrafts would leapfrog from planet to planet, saving fuel, gaining speed, and capturing images never before seen by human eyes. The first encounter was with Jupiter. Imagine Voyager, tiny and fragile, approaching the king of planets. From Earth, Jupiter looks like a round striped ball through a telescope. But as Voyager drew near in 1979, the details sharpened. Suddenly, we saw storms larger than Earth itself. The great red spot, a storm that had raged for centuries, was revealed in astonishing detail, its swirling colors more violent than any hurricane here at home. And then there were the moons. Io, with its volcanoes shooting fountains of sulfur high above its surface. Europa, icy and smooth, hiding beneath its crust. An ocean that might still just maybe harbor life. For the first time, we realized our solar system was not just planets, it was worlds. Dozens of them, each with mysteries as deep as Earth's. Voyager kept flying. By 1980, it reached Saturn. The rings, those delicate, shimmering bands, came into focus. Billions of icy particles dancing around the planet in harmony. The pictures Voyager sent back stunned the world. Saturn wasn't just beautiful. It was breathtaking, like a cosmic jewel turning slowly in the blackness of space. And again, the moons surprised us. Titan, with its thick orange atmosphere, like an alien world waiting to be explored. Enceladus, hiding geysers of ice beneath its surface. Voyager was supposed to stop there, but it didn't. Voyager 2 pressed on, the only spacecraft ever to visit Uranus and Neptune. Uranus was tilted on its side, rolling through space like a ball knocked over. Its pale blue color glowed softly, eerie and calm. Then Neptune, dark, windy, fierce. Voyager 2 captured a storm on Neptune that made even Jupiter's red spot look small. Winds there blew faster than sound itself. Everywhere it went, Voyager showed us something new. It was as if, for the first time, we were pulling back the curtain on our own backyard, realizing we had barely known the neighbors living next door. And all the while, attached to its side, bolted securely, was the golden record, traveling silently, waiting patiently. Think about that for a second. While Voyager was taking humanity's first close-up portraits of the outer planets, the record was already heading for its true destination. Not just the edge of our solar system, but beyond. Beyond the pool of the Sunday, beyond the realm of planets, into the vast ocean of interstellar space. The spacecraft would not stop. They would not return. They were built for one purpose, to keep going, to drift forever. But there was a quiet beauty in this. Imagine Earth in 1977. The Cold War was heavy, nations argued. People worried about survival. Yet here, bolted to the side of two small spacecraft, was a message that ignored all borders. A message that said, "We are one species, and this is our hello." Voyager didn't just give us pictures. It gave us perspective. From far away, Earth looked smaller and smaller until it became nothing more than a pale dot, fragile and blue against the black. And still, the golden record traveled with it, glowing quietly, untouched by the silence. No one knows where it will end up. Maybe it will drift forever, unseen, unheard. Or maybe one day, millions of years from now, someone or something will find it. A civilization older than ours. A species we cannot imagine. And they will place that golden disc on a machine, listen to its crackling sounds, and hear the laughter, the greetings, the music of a tiny blue world long gone. And in that moment, humanity will speak across eternity. Because in truth, the golden record is not just for aliens. It is for us. It reminds us that even as we argue, fight, and struggle down here on Earth, there is still a part of us reaching for the stars, whispering into the dark. This is who we are. This is where we come from. We are here. By the early 1992, Voyager 1 was still racing outward past the giant planets, beyond the realm of worlds we could easily see. Its mission had already been a success 100 times over. It had changed textbooks, filled imaginations, and shown us the cosmos in a way no human eyes ever could. But there was one last request, one last photograph to take. It came from Carl Sagan, the astronomer who had been one of the guiding voices behind the golden record. He asked NASA to do something unusual, something no one had really planned for. Turn the camera around, not to capture a planet, not to study a moon or a storm, but to look back, to look at us. And so, on the 14th of February, 1990 Valentine's Day Voyager 1, nearly 3.7 billion miles from home, turned its camera back toward Earth. The spacecraft's camera, designed for the glory of planets and moons, now pointed at the tiny dot that was our world. The picture it sent back is simple. If you didn't know what you were looking at, you might even miss it. Against the deep black of space, cut across by scattered rays of sunlight reflecting inside the camera, sits a single pale dot, a pixel, no larger than a mote of dust. That dot is Earth. Every person who has ever lived, every empire that has risen and fallen, every war, every love story, every child's laughter, every whispered secret, every sacrifice, every dream, all of it took place on that pale blue dot. Carl Sagan wrote about it, his words carrying a kind of gentle gravity. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. And suddenly, everything we thought was so big, so powerful, so important, shrank. Nations, borders, victories, conflicts, all of them vanished into a speck floating in a sunbeam. From that distance, there are no lines dividing land from land. There are no winners, no losers. Just a fragile world, hanging in the dark, held up by nothing but the laws of physics and the grace of chance. Voyager gave us more than science. It gave us perspective. It reminded us of our fragility. It reminded us that we are caretakers of this tiny oasis, the only one we know. And when you think about it, the timing was perfect. The 20th century had been scarred by 2 world wars, countless conflicts, and the constant shadow of nuclear weapons. Humanity had built machines that could destroy entire cities in an instant. Yet here, in the silence of space, a different machine, a little spacecraft made of metal, wires, and hope was showing us just how small and connected we really were. That image, the pale blue dot, became more than a photograph. It became a mirror that reflected our place in the cosmos and the humbling truth that we are not the masters of the universe, but travelers in it. Think about Voyager itself for a moment. Alone, moving farther every second, its power slowly fading, its instruments shutting down one by one. Eventually, it will fall silent, unable to speak to us anymore. And yet, it will keep drifting, carrying that golden record, carrying us. It's almost poetic. A lonely traveler leaving home, carrying a letter in its pocket, just in case it meets someone out there in the dark. And here's the thought that lingers. Maybe the golden record wasn't only meant for aliens. Maybe it was meant for us, for the people of Earth, to remind ourselves what we chose to send. We didn't send war machines. We didn't send weapons or threats. We sent music. We sent greetings. We sent lullabies and laughter and the sound of rain. We sent what was beautiful about us. Because deep down, maybe we understood that this record wasn't just about introducing ourselves to others. It was about reminding ourselves who we are and who we could be. Even now, Voyager keeps going. As of today, both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are in interstellar space, the first human-made objects ever to leave the protective bubble of the Sunday. They are further than Pluto, further than the Kuiper Belt, further than anything we have ever built. They travel in silence, untouched, unseen. And yet they are still there. Each year, The distance grows larger. Each year, the signals grow weaker. But with every passing second, those tiny spacecraft become more than machines. They become monuments, testaments, reminders. Reminders that once, in the late 20th century, on a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary star, humanity looked up at the sky and decided not to just stay home. We decided to reach, to dream, to send a part of ourselves into the great unknown. And maybe that's the most important thing Voyager ever gave us. Not just the pictures, not just the science, but the quiet, powerful proof that even when we are fragile, even when we feel small, we can still send out messages of hope. The pale blue dot is not just an image. It is an invitation to see our world with new eyes, to treat it gently because it's the only home we've ever had, and to remember that even in the vastness of space, even in the cold silence, there is beauty, there is connection, there is us. Imagine the scene. A spacecraft built in the 1972nd, still drifting silently in the endless dark. No engine pushing it forward, no hand guiding its way. Just momentum, carrying it like a leaf on a river. That leaf is Voyager, and tied to it is a message. The golden record. Now, we've spoken about what's on it: music, greetings, pictures, sounds of Earth. But let's step back and think about something else. Not the contents, not the design, but the idea. Because what is it really? A record of who we are. A snapshot frozen in time. But also a gamble, a chance, a whisper into the dark. The record is meant to last 1 billion years. That's almost impossible to imagine. 1 billion years ago on Earth, there were no humans, no pyramids, no cities, not even dinosaurs. Just simple life, scattered across oceans and land. 1 billion years from now, who knows what Earth will be? Will humans still exist? Will we have spread across the stars? Or will our planet be silent, its story left behind only in artifacts like this one? If someday, somewhere, someone or something finds Voyager, it will be carrying the echo of a species that once lived on a small blue dot. That means we, right now, are speaking not just to ourselves, not just to our neighbors or children, but to an unknowable future, to a listener we can't see. Isn't that haunting? Isn't that beautiful? Think of it. Another intelligence might one day stumble upon this tiny craft. Maybe it drifts into the orbit of a distant star, captured by gravity, waiting for millions of years before someone notices it. Maybe, far away, a civilization with senses we can't even imagine comes across a golden disk bolted to a strange ancient machine. What would they think? Would they understand it? Would they hear the heartbeat we place there, the laughter, the greetings in 55 languages? Would they recognize Bach or Beethoven or Chuck Berry? Would they know what rain sounds like? Or would it be as alien to them as the call of a creature from another dimension? Or maybe, to them, our entire message will be nonsense, unreadable. The way we look at scratches on an old bone or symbols carved on stone walls. perhaps they'll just see it as an old artifact from a forgotten people. But that's the gamble, the risk. And maybe that's the most human part of it. We sent it not because we were sure it would be understood, but because we hope. Because isn't that what humans do? We send messages. We build cathedrals, not knowing if anyone will still admire them centuries later. We paint on cave walls, never imagining that tens of thousands of years later, someone would still be staring at those handprints, wondering what they meant. The golden record is like that, a cave painting cast into the galaxy. And there's another mystery. If aliens do find it, will they come looking for us? That thought is both thrilling and terrifying. Imagine being so advanced they could pick up this tiny craft. What would they think of us? Would they see us as fragile children barely out of our cradle worth protecting? Or as dangerous, unpredictable creatures best avoided? Some scientists even worried about this when Voyager was launched. They wondered if sending such a message was safe. After all, what if we were announcing our location to the wrong kind of neighbors? But Carl Sagan and the team believed differently. He argued that space is vast beyond imagining, and the chances of anyone dangerous finding us because of Voyager were essentially zero. He believed that reaching out, even in the faintest way, was worth the risk. That optimism, that refusal to be silent, is deeply human. And maybe that's the hidden message of the record. Not the sounds, not the greetings, not even the music, but the act of sending it in the first place. Think about it. Voyager is already more than 14 billion miles from Earth, beyond the bubble of the sun's influence. It will keep traveling for billions of years, long after the pyramids have eroded into dust, long after the Great Wall of China has vanished, long after Earth itself might be unrecognizable. When all else is gone, there will still be this, a little gold record, carrying our voice, carrying us. It's humbling to realize that the longest-lasting human creation is not a monument or a skyscraper, but a tiny disk spinning silently in a void. Now here's the mystery. What if the record is never found? What if it drifts forever in emptiness, never reaching another hand? Does that make it pointless? Maybe not. Because in that case, the golden record is still a symbol, a reminder that at least once in history, humanity dared to send a message to eternity. Even if no one hears it, the act itself mattered. Because sometimes, hope is the message. And in the quiet of the night, when you think about it, that might be the most powerful story Voyager tells. That against impossible odds, in the face of silence, humanity still chose to speak. So, here we are, at the end of our long journey tonight. But in truth, it doesn't really feel like an ending, does it? Because the story of Voyager and the golden record it carries is not a story with a neat conclusion. It's an open-ended tale, one that will keep unfolding long after all of us are gone. Let's pause and imagine it once more. That little craft, no bigger than a car, drifting through space. Its antenna no longer turned toward Earth. Its instruments mostly silent. A machine from another century, but still alive in its own way. Still moving, still carrying its golden gift. Inside that record is us, our laughter, our music, our languages, our greetings, but also something much deeper, a fingerprint of humanity's soul, a reminder that for all our struggles, for all our wars and mistakes, there is something within us that longs to connect, to say, we were here, we lived, we loved, we dreamed. The golden record is, in many ways, a time capsule, a billion-year letter in a bottle. And when you think about it, that's staggering. Every one of us alive today is part of that story. If you're listening right now, your heartbeat, your breath, the thoughts in your mind, they belong to the same species that decided to launch this fragile, golden greeting into forever. Some people see Voyager as just a scientific achievement, a technical marvel, yes, but still just a machine. Others see it as an artistic expression, humanity's greatest poem, written not in words, but in sounds, images, and symbols carved onto a record. And then there are those who see it as a spiritual gesture, a prayer perhaps, not to any one God, but to the cosmos itself, a reaching out, a kind of cosmic faith, because who else but us, flawed, uncertain, fleeting creatures, would dare to speak into the infinite, not knowing if anyone will ever listen? It makes you wonder, maybe the real hidden message of the golden record isn't in the music or the images at all. Maybe the real message is this: we are a species that hopes. Hope is written in every part of the record, in the way a mother's heartbeat was included, in the way children's laughter was captured, in the way scientists carefully encoded our location, even though they knew the risks. Hope is there in every word, in every sound, in every note, and hope is timeless. It doesn't matter if someone plays the record 1,000 years from now, or 1 billion years from now, or never at all. The message was still sent. The hope was still real. And isn't that just like life itself? We do things without guarantees. We love without certainty. We dream without knowing if those dreams will come true. But still, we do it. Still, we try. That is humanity. As you sit here, listening to this story, picture yourself floating alongside Voyager. No noise, no traffic, no phones or screens, just silence and stars. Imagine looking down and seeing Earth far behind you, a pale dot, almost invisible, and then, turning forward, you see nothing but the endless dark. It stretches on forever. But somewhere in that darkness, Voyager is still moving, and so are we. We're still writing our story as a species, still trying to understand who we are, why we're here, and where we're going. And maybe that's why the golden record matters so much. Not because of what it says to aliens, but because of what it says to us. It says, we are worth remembering. It says, we matter. It says, in the face of an infinite universe, humanity chose not to stay silent. And tonight, as you drift into sleep, you carry that same story inside you. You are part of that record. You are part of this message. Your life, your thoughts, your voice, all of it belongs to the same thread of existence that dared to place a golden disc on a spacecraft and fling it into eternity. So, if you ever feel small or unimportant or lost in the crowd, remember this. Somewhere out there, billions of miles away, your species has left behind a message for the stars. A message that says we existed, we dreamed, we hoped, and that's beautiful. Thank you for spending this time with me tonight, wandering through the vastness of space and the mystery of the golden record. If you enjoyed this journey and want to keep exploring more stories like this, I invite you to subscribe, and when you're ready, watch the next story waiting for you right here on the screen. Until then, may your dreams tonight be as wide as the stars and as endless as Voyager's path.